Well guys, it has been 5 long years since I started this channel. It started out on just literally one single shelf in my bedroom and it grew out of control. At this point, there are literally hundreds of plants in here. I've been fighting pests for like the last year and a half. The watering is crazy. I literally have a garden hose down here and it is just a lot of work to do this channel. So something's got to change. Some of you have probably noticed that a lot of YouTubers are calling it quits or doing very big things like selling their channels or just doing all kinds of stuff. And so that brings us to Techplant. What is my plan for this channel? Well, it ain't going to be giving up, baby. We are just doubling down. We are going to go ham. We are going to be doing more videos, more content, more awesome stuff. I got a lot of cool things planned for 2024. I'm not giving up. Maybe we'll burn out after 2024, but I really want to dedicate a ton of time to this channel. I love this channel. It has been so fun the last 5 years, and honestly, it just energizes me to do all this stuff. I love fighting pests. I love watering my plants. It is crazy. When I come down here and I see the new things sprouting and the cool things happening, and even the plants dying, I don't even care. It's a lot of fun and it's been great learning. And honestly, it's all thanks to you guys. We have been going on strong for 5 years because of people like you who come in the comments, have awesome ideas, share awesome stories, and I love it. So I want to start this video off with a huge thank you to you guys. Everything you've ever done for the past 5 years is greatly appreciated. It has brought us all the way to this chaos, this like amazing thing in my basement that I really love. So I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I get excited every time I come into this plant room, and it is all thanks to you guys. So again, thank you for all the support over the past couple of years. Well, the past 5 years. But that brings us to, what is 2024 actually going to be like? Now, we do have some hurdles that I do have to jump over and accomplish to make sure 2024 is awesome. I am having a baby in about a month or so, which is going to be pretty crazy, but there is some leeway in there, so we can make it happen. I did enroll in some college courses again to try and like get smarter, and there's just a lot going on, and I got another YouTube channel, but I'll talk more about that in the future. But there's a lot going on, but I still have like a really huge drive this year to do a ton of awesome stuff with this channel. I sort of neglected it this last year just with family stuff, but I really want to make this something special. I know in the past I've teased many times about opening a Techplant shop, trying to sell like 3D printed moss poles, or even the wooden moss poles I'm working on, or even plants. You know, I've been learning a lot about deflasking tissue culture plants and just a lot of propagations I've been doing, and I've got a lot of plants in this room. You can see here, things are just getting way too big. Things need to be cut back and propagated, honestly. But I think 2024 is going to be the actual year of the Techplant shop. One of the reasons I'm kind of focusing on that thing as well is because I don't make a lot of money with this channel. The secret's out. The views are down quite a bit, which is not a big deal. I don't care about it. But I'm getting to a point where my funding for the channel is quite limited, so it's really limiting what I can do. I mean, I thought one of the coolest things that we did was the whole tissue culture, tie constellation, sending them to a lab, and that was quite costly, which is not a big problem. Like I said, I love doing it, but I want to put a little more focus on Techplant as a business. In the past, it's always been a business, but really, I need to focus on that more to gain some more funding so I can do cooler stuff. There's a lot of things I want to do, but it just sort of exceeds the whole budget thing, and now that I have 2 kids and there's a whole family here, it's tough for me to take like my personal funds and dump it into the channel. So I really have to make this channel more self-sustaining. So 2024 is definitely going to be a Techplant shop year. I already have a Shopify account and I'm working on setting it up, and I'm working on getting some actual products established. If there's anything that you guys are really interested in, always let me know, whether you want to buy plants or moss poles or even soil mixes. I've got quite a few ideas on all of that, but I really don't know what you guys want from me. You know, I want to make this a very mutual thing. Like, I'm not looking just to shill stuff. I don't want to just sell for the sake of selling. I really want this to be a value for value thing, which is why I think a lot of it, I want it to be like do-it-yourself kind of stuff, like the 3D printed moss poles or even the wooden stuff I've really been working on, which you guys have only seen a little bit of it, but I think it's going to be really awesome. So again, throughout this whole video, I'm going to be bringing up a lot of topics, and I really want your guys' input because, again, you guys have helped create this channel over the past 5 years, so it's really important to hear what you have to say. It might be hard to see from this footage, but I have actually started a tremendous amount of experiments. You'll notice little jars, little propagation bins, and a lot of like little knickknacks all around the plant room. Plant experiments were some of the stuff that really was the bread and butter of Techplant, and I sort of strayed away from, mostly because of time and just it's a long process, but this year I already have a huge backlog of different experiments. Again, the reason I'm really hyped up about 2024 is because I actually have a heck of a backlog. Going into 2023, I really didn't have a lot of stuff built up, so it was really a struggle just to try and keep up with the machine and the grind and get things out, even though I just didn't have a lot sitting like behind me, if that makes sense. But now I have a lot of experiments, and again, thanks to you guys and your suggestions, kind of sitting and building up, and I've got some cool stuff I can start releasing very soon. But I'm just glad that I have a backlog because it helps propel more stuff into the future, and it just gives me some, not cushion, but I think we can just have a greater overall experience based on that. And that kind of leaves me with the next ask of you guys. I really want your experiment suggestions. I'm willing to try literally anything, and some of the experiments that are coming up are driven by the comments that you guys leave. So it's really helpful to know what you guys want to see, and a lot of times you come up with really interesting ideas that I also want to test out. So please leave it in the comments. Any interesting experiment, even repeat experiments with a slight difference, anything. I'm willing to try anything. I love your ideas, and yeah, you got to tell me what you want, and I can give it a shot. I love the experiments. It's always been the bread and butter of Techplant. Same with how-to guides, but the experiments are the most interesting things. So it's a lot of times hard for me to generate these ideas. So I want to hear from you. I do also want to expand my content out a little bit. I do like a broad spectrum of things. Sometimes I feel like I'm quite pigeonholed into a certain sort of concept, and maybe this will be detrimental to my channel, I'm not sure, but I do love terrariums, and more specifically custom built ones. I started playing with making actual custom glass terrariums towards the end of 2023, and I really want to expand on that within 2024. This is just sort of a small sample of what I've produced, and it was just a lot of fun designing it, cutting the glass, and putting it together. And I found that it's really affordable and really easy, especially for smaller stuff like this, because you can get pretty cheap glass. So I hope you guys are really interested in the whole terrarium thing, because again, now that we've been doing this for 5 years, my plants are starting to hit this peak, it's what else can you do with these plants? They look great on shelves, but I want to do things with them. I know I did mention in the past this giant grow tent. You can't really see it because it's obscured behind here, but I was supposed to make a giant terrarium out of it in 2023, and I never got around to it. So 2024 will be the year that I execute on it. I do have some other things that have been just sitting around that I need to execute on, and I desperately want to. I would love a really awesome terrarium, a literally 4x4 size terrarium, and start to put some of these amazing specimens in there. So I hope you guys are interested in that idea. And again, if you have any sort of other aspects I can delve into, let me know in the comments. If you don't want to see any terrarium content, tell me, because again, you guys who are watching this are probably the core viewers, because again, I don't have these crazy amounts, so I want to hear from you guys, because you are the bread and butter of this channel. This is just another example of a terrarium thing I've been working on. This is with 3D printing, and again, that's going to be another pretty big element in a lot of these do-it-yourself sort of videos that I'm going to be producing, and those also might be things that end up in the actual shop. Besides 3D printed moss poles, there's a lot of other 3D printed things I've sort of created that do really well for plants, terrariums, and aquariums. So I want to start releasing that stuff, and I have seen some sort of methodologies where people release the files, and I might do that, a kind of a paid subscription for 3D printed files. I know there's a few other channels that do a Patreon, and if you're subscribed, every month you get a new 3D printed file that you can print. But again, that's pretty niche, and I don't know how many of my followers actually have 3D printers. So again, that's another thing you guys have to leave comments about. How are your feelings about 3D printers? Do you guys have 3D printers where if I share files you can print, or are you mostly going to be trying to purchase 3D printed parts, if that makes any sense? With a lot of the custom terrarium stuff, you can print really nice brackets and really nice helpful parts that just bring it all together. So again, super excited about all that stuff, and I think that's the greatest way for me to provide value for value, if that makes any sense. It's not me buying somebody else's product, jacking up the price and trying to push it on you. I don't want to do that kind of thing. I want to really make this stuff that I've created that then you guys want to support the channel through either purchasing it or sharing it or doing whatever. Well, like I said earlier, I want to expand in more avenues. We sort of talked about the whole terrarium content, which is going to be another focus, but also aquariums. I did sort of promise this in 2023, and I've had most of these aquariums for a very long time. As you can see, I finally got them on the shelf. I'm doing some leak testing on here. This one I had to reseal. This one's been running for a long time. You can't see the ones down in the bottom corner, but I've got a whole bunch of plants in there already growing out and ready for aquascaping. The one aquarium that I'm probably most excited about setting up is this long one right here. I've had this for a year, and I teased it on Instagram literally a year ago, probably to this date, because it was sometime around winter. But like I was saying earlier, I finally got a hold of a lot of good aquascaping stuff, a lot of hardscape. I've got the plants that are down below me, and I finally have the tools necessary to actually act on what I wanted to do a year ago. Back then, I only had this tank and the plants that were growing in there, and it was just too difficult to create these beautiful aquascapes just when you're lacking a lot of hardscape. That was the big crux, but I have a ton of it now that I've acquired over the last year. So again, I'm ready to really act on things and make a lot of aquarium stuff. I hope you guys are into aquarium stuff. And if you're not, let me know in the comments, but I highly doubt anyone who loves plants isn't going to like plants that grow underwater and that have little animals like fish and shrimp that crawl around on them. I just think the concept's awesome. Again, I'm expanding into a lot of stuff because I really do enjoy just the overall arching like scope of nature, if that makes any sense. I love all this stuff. Having plants on the shelf is really cool and I get a lot of joy out of them, but I do want to put them to use. And that's why the whole terrarium, aquarium thing is becoming more of a thing this year. So yeah, there is a lot on the table here. I do have a lot of hopes and dreams for 2024. I really hope we can execute on this. I'm going to need your guys' help. I'm going to need your input. And I really hope you guys are there to support me as I try and produce some really awesome stuff for you guys. It's going to be a lot of work. And again, I did preface this video with the initial hurdles I'm going to have this year. My second child is due pretty darn soon here. I am enrolling back in school, which is going to be a lot. And again, I have a whole family and I have a full-time job. This channel does not earn a lot of money at all, which is why I'm sort of doing this whole like business focus to try and get money to like reinvest in the channel so I can produce better stuff. Because again, this isn't my main source of income. This is more of like a little side gig, and I use it. It's just kind of like a snake eating its tail, if that makes any sense. But anyways, I think we can totally pull this off. All right, that brings us to pretty much the midpoint of this video. We do have an actual video sponsor, and I do want to put a slight preface onto this thing, and I hope you guys will forgive me because it is pretty unrelated to plants in general. This is more of a helping me as like the Techplant owner than anything. It's going to give me like the drive I need, and it also is helping my in-laws, who are in turn helping me with the new baby that's showing up. So they're coming in about a month here for about 3 months, and their one request was an exercise bike. So I was shopping around and it's not cheap, and I'm already broke with all these ultrasounds, so it's crazy. But anyways, I get a ton of emails all the time of random products to like shill on YouTube, and one finally caught my eye. In my desperation, I took it, and it actually turned out pretty cool. So there is a video sponsored by YESOUL. It is an exercise bike, and it is like sort of the stars align, so forgive me for this.
Alright, it is time to take a look at this video sponsor, and it is YESOUL. They were kind enough to send me an exercise bike, and like I said earlier, the stars really aligned, and it was a perfect Christmas miracle. My family needs one of these with the upcoming changes, and I was just really happy to get this and test it out. They did not pay me to make this video, they literally just sent me the product for free, and so we're just going to take a look at it. The unboxing and assembly was surprisingly easy. I've never seen this before, but all the bolts and screws were already in the holes that they need to be in, and basically you just take them out, attach the part that's supposed to be secured with those screws, and put them back in through both holes. It was super simple, and you don't have to hunt down screws or anything, and there's not many assembly steps, so this thing went together quite easily. This exercise bike is positioned as a cheaper alternative to like the Peloton or the Nordic Track or any of the more really expensive exercise bikes, and it does so pretty well. It does come in at $4.99, but there is going to be a coupon code for $100 off, which brings it down to $3.99. They also do have the same sort of subscription service where they have workout plans, ride-alongs, and like exercise instructors, and that is cheaper than the other two that I listed earlier. I think it's like $9.99 a month. This bike is highly adjustable for a wide range of body types. You can raise the seat up pretty darn high, you can lower it pretty low, it can go forward and backwards, and you can also tilt it. Along with all of that, the handlebars go up and down, so you can fit a wide range. It does also come with 2 little hand weights because they do have a variety of workouts. There are just biking ones, there are ones that use these little weights, and there's a bunch of stuff in between. Overall, the bike was really steady. They do use a pretty decent sized gauge steel for this bike, so it doesn't wobble around, it doesn't creak, it's actually pretty silent. Now, I am 150 pounds, so that might change as you go up in weight, but this bike handled me pretty darn well. Like the more expensive exercise bikes, this does use magnetic resistance, and that is very important because 1, it is silent, and 2, it lasts much longer. Anything with friction-based resistance really wears out over time and is a lot louder. Here you can see that in action, so the magnets just get closer and closer to the wheel, which adds more resistance. And there is a thick felt pad if you want to brake or like permanently fix the wheel so that way it can't be turned. It does come with standard pedals that can accept pretty much any shoe. I'm literally using Crocs in this video and they fit quite well in there, and I feel it's pretty comfortable. But I believe you can order different pedals if you want to do like biking shoes or be a little more serious about it. But this will pretty much meet almost anyone's needs. This bike does come with about a 22-inch screen, and it can rotate 360 degrees, so you can turn it sideways if you're going to do more weight training, because again, they do have a bunch of different classes, and you aren't stuck with YESOUL's app. You have a bunch of choices, and I will go a little more into detail into that. I'm personally using a Google TV hooked up to this thing, or you could use a Roku. I just like having a TV remote. I think it's a lot easier to manage one-handed, and I like the interface that a lot of these use. They're designed for TV screens, and they're just ergonomic, and I just like it. You have a bunch of apps you can use. I can use my streaming services I prefer, like Netflix or Viki or whatever you really want, and it's just great. However, they do have other options, and that's what I like about this. You can get their cord that they sell alongside of it. One is for Android, one is for Apple. I'm not sure how Apple works, but with Android, you sort of like not mirror the screen, but you get like a screen extension. I don't personally like this a lot because I find it kind of weird to use your phone as a mouse cursor and navigate to the apps, and I just don't think Android does a very good job of being clean about it. Maybe Apple's better, but honestly, I prefer like a Roku or Google TV interface. I think it's just much cleaner for like the purpose of a TV. But it is another option if that's what you prefer. Finally, they do have their own app, and that is going to be with their subscription service. They do have free courses on there, so you don't have to actually pay anything to use it. And again, you can track like your resistance, your watt production, and your cadence. There's a bunch of little side things on the actual screen, but their app is pretty nice. They have ride-alongs, they have instructors, and again, I think it's one of the cheaper subscriptions if you were into that sort of thing. I'm not really into that. I just want to watch TV shows while I go ham, and so I'm just going to stick with the Google TV, but I do love that there are many options. I do not like products that lock you into their service, so I'm really happy that they allow you to do whatever you basically want. It's got an HDMI input. You can pretty much hook an Xbox up to this if you wanted to. Overall, the bike feels really quality. I'm surprised by it. I never know when I get like these random products through the mail, but it turned out really nice. It shipped nice, assembled nice. It feels good. I'll keep you updated on the progress of this bike because I am going to try and use this many times a week to get back in shape and get my energy levels up. So I'll give you a little more better detailed review of this as time goes on.
All right, so now we're gonna try some like shoulder mounted rig stuff. And I'm gonna try and just give you a current, like where we're at here in 2024. So I know you guys have seen this corner in the past before, and it usually used to look pretty lush, but I think it's finally hitting its age. I mean, this corner was looking beautiful for probably 2 or 3 years, but it's sort of like moving up to here. Like all the fresh growth is now up here like at this window. I guess they're probably sick of just always artificial light, but I'm planning on cutting this all out, I think, and maybe propagating it or just redoing it. And that kind of brings me to like this entire shelf, honestly. So there used to be a lot of mostly philodendron on here and some monstera, but you can see they're like quickly getting too big. Here's like one of the gloriose that I had on there that is absolutely insanely massive. I mean, we're talking like 3 feet now. It's too big. And honestly, here you can see some of the damage. Let me get around here. Here's some cool experiments in this guy here, but a lot of it's hitting the lights. So you can see here, this is a problem. The lights basically melted that and damaged it, and it just looks terrible. But this new leaf, since I took it out, it's doing much better. I got a lot of sweet anthuriums here. So yeah, I don't know if you guys want to see me sell plants eventually, but that might be a thing because I just have too many at this point. But yeah, back to this shelf. Like you can see, I just got these Monstera Tycons, which you can see they are doing fantastic. We got some fenestrations here. These are the ones that came from tissue culture, so they're doing awesome. But some of the only like philodendrons that are still really left on this shelf are my silver sword, which again is insane in size. I mean, look at some of these leaves. It's hard to tell because you can't really see with the scale here, but they're huge. And then behind there is a Billy Hettii, but they don't look good on these shelves. It's almost bothersome at this point. So I want to do something with this wall here. I don't know if it's like take this entire shelf out and create like almost like a frame out of 2x4s with plastic, and then put some soil on the bottom here and just let stuff grow up it, like to the ceiling, so there's nothing like restricting it, because this whole shelf style is just not working for these big plants. I mean, you can see my Maui here, which got so insanely long that, I mean, it used to be over in this corner back here, then it grew up across down in here, and it was coming like up by these orchids and stuff here, and it was just too much. And now it's just laying on the ground because I took it out of there, and it's just like, I don't know, my collection is so mature at this point that things are just getting out of hand. Here's another philodendron that's like, you guys get to see like the nitty gritty, like messy tech plant. This is going to be a terrarium, by the way, this entire thing. It was my goal in 2023, but now it's 2024, maybe 2025, we'll see. But anyways, yeah, this philodendron here, just laying across because it just doesn't fit on the shelves anymore. Now the same can't really be said for my anthuriums. Most of them are doing pretty darn good. I do have some random monsteras in here, but again, the anthuriums don't grow nearly as big because they're like more centrally grown. They're not very vine-like, at least the species I collect. So they're all fitting fine in here, and I think I'll keep this shelf. But again, I might remove this whole shelf here and maybe put this like out in the gym area, if that makes any sense, like a big divider wall, and dedicate that to some sort of hydroponics setup. Because again, I talked about wanting to get more into hydroponics, and this might be like the avenue I pursue. Here's that sweet mint monstera that I have a video about, like where I just rooted it in water. I was a little nervous because this initial leaf here was like pretty darn white, but then we got this more like solid green looking one, which I was a little nervous about. But if you look at the actual base here, we got some good swirling, which I think is going to be awesome. So I'm really excited about this. This one is sort of on loan to me, so it's not really my plant, but it's still fun to see like each new leaf that comes out. Another interesting thing here is my Spirit of Sancti. I mean, now these are really cheap, so it's nothing crazy or cool, but I tried propagating it, and it's been successful so far. We got a new growth here, which is like this little guy here. And then you can see the mother plant back here. It actually got so long or tall that it was like hanging too much, and it started to get smaller in size, so that's why I cut it. I'm sort of kneeling here at this point. The footage might get shakier and shakier. I have my entire camera rig on my shoulder, we'll see, but this is my most like prized Thai constellation. I actually got this one at Silver Chrome Gardens all the way down in Miami, so it is special to me. And you can see it's growing a nice big leaf, so hopefully it's huge. Hopefully it's got some pretty sick fenestrations, but only time will tell. Here's an example of some of the 3D printed stuff I've been working on. I've really tried so many designs in my own personal collection here, and I have a great idea of like what is actually good. When I see the competitors out there, I think they're just missing a lot, and I think I can really bring some value to people, so I'm going to pursue that. But again, that's going to be up to you guys. Another big thing of 2023 has been a lot of successful pollination. A lot of my Anthuriums are getting to that mature size where they're producing lots of inflows, and it's hard for me to tell if you can tell, but I think you can see from here. There's seeds there. This is a hybrid of this is a red crystallinum here. There's a luxurians back there. I just plucked off a huge full of berries, spadix off of this big, I think this is a white stripe magnificum, and they're all growing out. The forgetti eyes are crazy. They produce so many flowers. I mean, it's nuts. So 2023 was really the year of like Anthuriums, and you can see I have tons of seedlings here I'm growing out. Again, if I do this whole plant shop thing, I think I want to start with like plant care products first, because it's a little easier to like produce. But eventually some of these plants might make it to market. We'll see. My collection is pretty much pure chaos at this point. Like if we go past the great bucket, which is my new favorite chair, this one doesn't collapse. It's like getting pretty messy here. I mean, I've tried to clean it up, but again, the plants are just like out of this world large. Like they don't stop growing. I don't know what to do other than chop and prop. And I've already got bins pretty much everywhere propagating stuff, and I've showed some of them in the past, and it's getting pretty out of hand. Like this one is filled with a ton of Anthurium seedlings, which again, we're probably gonna have like 200 Anthurium plants in there. I've got a ton of philodendrons like growing in here, a ton of Anthurium in there, more Anthurium in here. It's just never ending. And again, here's some more Anthuriums that are producing inflows like crazy. I love it. Here's a bunch of seeds on the most rarest one I own. This is the one I'm most excited for 2024, because this is already like almost a one-of-a-kind hybrid. I've sent out like 3 or 4 of these to other people, so it's extremely rare. This, I know what the mother plant is, I don't know what the father plant is, but it resulted in a really beautiful, special plant, and it's very special to me just because I didn't discover it, but it's just, there's a whole story behind it, and I love it so much. And the fact that we're going to get some seeds has me so excited. Not only is that one producing seed, but this other one, which is like a sister plant, is also producing seeds. So this might be a really cool like saga of 2023. We shall see. Another really cool thing of 2024, which I didn't mention earlier, is the Giant Pothos race. I honestly think it's probably the coolest collaboration ever. These are some other previous ones that I'm just trying to grow up planks here, and they're just getting huge. And this one is getting awesome too. But the one I'm most excited for is the one that's in the actual race here. It's finally starting to get bigger and bigger, and I'm actually testing like one of my first products that I do want to release that I think is going to be amazing, and that is like a plank system that isn't 3D printed and it's just wood. So I'm ecstatic about it. It's one of the most exciting things for me right now, and I'm working on producing like tooling to make it really consistent, because again, like one of the big things that prevents me from releasing any product is like my fear that it won't be good enough. Like, I don't know if you can see that moss pull back there, but I've been testing that thing out for a very long time, and it worked fantastically. But I'm just not always like 100% happy with the product, And again, like the reason I haven't had a shop or anything for a while, and I don't like eBay, is because I always appreciate the value I get from you guys, and I desperately want to give you guys value back. So if I'm going to produce some sort of 3D printed product or some product, I want it to be like ultra good, like ultra special. I want you guys to feel like you got your money's worth and that you like supported something awesome. So that's why I've been so slow to like come up with something. But again, I'm putting a lot of focus in it this year because I want to grow this channel in many ways. So hopefully you guys will be there to support me on that endeavor. Well guys, that pretty much sums up this video, honestly. There was a lot that we went over. I hope you kind of see where this is headed. There's a lot of really cool stuff in motion. You got to see the aquariums, some of the terrariums, a lot of the plants. You got to witness like how big they're really getting, the propagation bins, all the flowers, all the seeds. There is a tremendous amount of stuff going on, and I hope you guys are excited for it. I really am thankful for all your support the last 5 years, and I hope you guys continue to support me as I grow this channel bigger and better. Again, if you guys have any comments, any ideas, or any desires, thoughts, opinions, stories, please leave them in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. We are still early on in 2024. I want to make sure our trajectory is in the right direction and you guys are going to enjoy what this channel becomes. Again, I hope to have your continued support. I really appreciate it. And that's pretty much it for 2023, and let's look forward to 2024. As always, guys, may your plants grow strong and healthy. I will see you next time.